Good morning from Tel Aviv and welcome to I-24 News. We are giving ongoing coverage of the security situation in Israel. I'm Ariel Levin-Waldman. We begin with an Israeli soldier who was killed during the withdrawal from Jenin. That picture is Sergeant David Yehuda Yitzchak of the elite Agoz Commando Unit. He was hit and evacuated to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced dead. The Army is investigating if he was killed by the enemy or if this was a friendly fire incident. The IDF says now that the last soldier is out of the area of operations and yesterday declared that it had so far been a very successful mission. The Army is around 48 hours into the large-scale raid that took out terror command centers, enemy fortifications, weapons depots, and high-profile wanted terrorists. The operation involved more than 1,000 troops, tanks, and drones. One Israeli soldier and 13 Palestinian gunmen are dead. But the IDF had to intervene on the southern front as well, striking 2 sites in Gaza in retaliation for 5 rockets fired into Israel hours earlier, all of which were intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome air defense system. There was some property damage in the town of Sderot caused by interceptor shrapnel falling on the house. The Army said that warplanes struck an underground weapons workshop used by the chemical unit of the Hamas terror group and a site for processing rocket components. Palestinian sources said there were no injuries in the strike. In Tel Aviv, 8 people were wounded in a car ramming and a stabbing terror attack that was carried out by a Palestinian from a village near Hebron. He was shot and killed by an armed civilian, and we're going to bring you updates on the developing security situation over the course of the day. But first, we are going to go to our defense correspondent, Jonathan Regev, who is near the West Bank right now at a checkpoint just on the border area. Thank you very much for being with us, Jonathan. Give us the latest updates from what we're hearing and the security situation in the West Bank.
So we're at the Salem checkpoint right behind us there, the entrance to the West Bank. Standing here, you don't really know that there was an operation up until about 12 hours ago. Things look very calm, very normal. Basically, whatever happened in Jenin is over. But I think it is over for now, meaning the Army's main aim here was to clear the way for more missions to come. What do I mean by that? What we basically saw in Jenin is the engineering corps clearing the roads to prevent a situation like the one happening 2 weeks ago where an Israeli armored vehicle was hit by an IED. That was one part of the mission. The other is to detect and destroy as many of those makeshift labs where these IEDs and perhaps even makeshift rockets are made. This was achieved, and this operation to begin with was meant to last about 48 hours. This is pretty much what has happened. So yes, this operation is over. As you mentioned, the last soldier is out of Jenin. I think we can expect to see more soldiers in Jenin in the coming days. The fact that this operation is over does not mean that the Army will not operate there anymore. If anything, I think it means that the Army will operate even more because the obstacles perhaps leading into the Jenin refugee camp were somewhat moved away.
And that does lead to the next question, because you did bring that up. The Army is very likely to be operating more. We're hearing news of riots in Jenin now. We've seen one thing, terror attack after another coming out of Jenin. Do we believe that this operation is actually going to suppress that for any amount of time? Or, as you said, when can we expect the next flaring there?
This specific operation will not bring the level of terrorism down because the people carrying out the attacks are still there. A rather small number of militants were killed. But what the Army did here was clear the way for more and more incursions, those nightly incursions into Jenin. They ran into trouble. We saw that 2 weeks ago, and pulling out the armored cars from Jenin, that was something that took quite a lot of time. What the Army did now is try to clear the way for more operations to come in. As the Army will operate more and more in Jenin, the hope is to see the level of terrorism going down. Will that suppress terrorism altogether? I'm afraid not.
Okay, thank you very much, Jonathan. We'll get some more updates from you over the course of the day. For more, though, we're going to turn to our security panel in studio. That would be Rafael Tzur, a former senior intelligence officer with the IDF, one of our main security analysts, as well as our correspondent and columnist, Guy Azriel, to comment on these matters. We're going to begin with you, Rafael. Ultimately, the Army said they had accomplished their goals. What was accomplished, and are they just mowing the lawn?
No, they had a very specific goal. They wanted to dismantle the infrastructure that turned Jenin into a fortified position, a headquarters, if you will, of the Palestinian terror in the territories. This fortified position, these headquarters, have been destroyed and dismantled, meaning whatever was a refuge for a hiding place where they felt secure for the terrorists has been destroyed. Chambers of commands have been destroyed. All the communication, all that enables the logistics of preparing attacks, whole warehouses full of equipment. It was like a supermarket for the terrorists to go and get explosives there. All the informatic, high-tech equipment. So a lot have been destroyed, and this was the goal. The goal was not to eradicate terrorism. The goal was not even to catch as many terrorists as possible. It was just to dismantle this infrastructure. It is, like Jonathan Regev said, a first step of a wider strategy. It is preparing the ground for more actions. It has been said by the IDF spokesman, it has been said by the Minister of Defense, this is a punctual operation. It's not an isolated one. There will be others after and around it. We can also perfectly imagine that the Kasbah of Naplouse is next, but it is a preparation of the ground. Now, so far as you're talking about mowing the lawn hasn't been mowed very much because we only have 13 dead terrorists and a few dozens arrested. Some of them have already even been released. We are now the day after, and the day after, militarily speaking, let's wait, because we'll see what are the next actions, even though we have an indication that's a bit problematic. The answer of the IDF this morning to the 5 rockets shot from Gaza into Israel was very dosed, very cosmetic. After the declaration that we heard that any attack on Israeli people or interest will be answered with a very strong and severe blow. And well, just the next day, I mean, 12 hours after such a spectacular and dramatic operation, we are back to the routine of a very small answer from the IDF to rockets that were fired to the south of Israel, and 5 of them were intercepted by the Iron Dome, meaning that they were going towards populated areas. Otherwise, they would not have been intercepted. So this is very dangerous. So now the ball, if you want, is in the camp now on the side of the political level. What are the decisions of the political level? So far, nothing has been decided, so nothing has changed.